How we all doing? Happy holidays. I hope you guys are having, a restful Christmas break and enjoying the holidays, man. Today, as you can see by the title, I'm going to be going through who I think is every UFC champion's best win to date. And yeah, let's just get started. So, starting off in flyweight, we have Joshua Van as your newly crowned UFC flyweight champion. And I'm not going to say that his best win is Pantoja because it's not. Like, that's not a fight that happened. It was a freak accident. Pantoja broke his arm, and I hope they can run it back. I hope that Joshua Van can keep the belt for long enough so that they can actually run it back when Pantoja's ready to see who's actually the best in the world. But that fight just didn't happen to me. And I think that Van's best win is Brandon Royval, guys. Brandon Raw Dog Royval, the guy's been a top five, I think, staple in the flyweight division for the past 4 or 5 years. He's really good. He's beaten top competition, beaten like former champions like Brandon Moreno. And yeah, the guy's just all around super solid, well-rounded skill set, great volume striker, and the fact that Joshua Van was able to stay in there in the pocket with Brandon Royval, trade with him, slug, and land better shots, and actually drop him as the smaller guy is really impressive. And yeah, he didn't let Brandon Royval use that size to his advantage much. And I believe that this was really just a testament to how good Joshua Van is on the feet and how scrappy he can get. So that is easily, I think, Joshua Van's best win. But let's move on to our boy Piotr Jan, the UFC bantamweight champion. And his best win, I think everyone knows, is Marab. That performance against Marab, that's got to be like one of the top, probably top five, top three best wins of all time. Marab's easily the bantamweight GOAT. The guy's been running through everyone for the past like year or two. He beat Cejudo, O'Malley twice, Corey Sandhagen, Umar Nurmagomedov. Insane names who all could have easily been champion in the division, and Marab has destroyed all of them. And the fact that Piotr Jan was able to basically control him, control the entire fight, outstrike him, and hurt him multiple times throughout the 5 rounder is one of the most impressive things I've seen in recent UFC history. And yeah, that is easily Piotr Jan's best win. But moving on, we're going to have Alexander Volkanovski, my glorious king, the UFC featherweight champion. And his best win, I think everyone knows, is Max Holloway. Beating Max Holloway 3 times, who is a top 10 fighter of all time, is an insane achievement. I don't think anyone else is ever going to have something like that again on their resume. And Max Holloway, he's getting better. Like still to this day, he's getting better. He's been in the UFC for a long ass time. He's ran through a lot of the competition at featherweight. Was the second best featherweight of all time, or is the second best featherweight of all time, and beat Jose Aldo twice. Had his own featherweight run with multiple title defenses before losing to Volk, and now at lightweight he's even better. Like I believe he's the best he's ever been at lightweight, and with his newfound power, he's able to absolutely like speed mog and destroy these fighters. Like we saw what he did to Justin Gaethje. We saw him pop around Dustin Poirier's head and drop him around and almost finish him multiple times in their fight. And Max, as a true lightweight, I think is probably the second or best or third best lightweight in the world, depending on if he can get past Charles, which I think he will. I think it's between him and Arman as the second best lightweight in the world, if Ilia Topuria is still the champ. But I think that if everything goes right, if the circumstances are right, Ilia Topuria like has to vacate the title or something, and it ends up being Arman versus Max for the title, I think that's really interesting, and I think Max has a good chance to win that. So Max is one of the best lightweights in the world right now, and he's one of the best fighters of all time. So that's easily Volk's best win. But I'm going to say that a sneaky second best win for Volkanovski could actually be Diego Lopez, just because I think that Diego Lopez is a future champion at featherweight. I think that if he's able to get past Lopez again, which I have my doubts, but he can definitely do it. If he's able to get past Lopez 2 times in a row, that would be amazing for his legacy. Lopez, I think, is the second best guy in that division. I think he beats Movsar Evloev if they ever rematch, and I think that he knocks out pretty much everyone else that they face. I really thought Gene Silva was the best guy at featherweight for a while when he choked out Bryce Mitchell and he was knocking out all these guys. Really slick boxing, amazing timing and distance control, and also a great submission game. And the fact that Lopez was able to control him and destroy him on the ground in that first round and then knock him out in the second round was really impressive to me. It came out of nowhere, and I was shocked by that. I picked Gene Silva to win that fight. And the fact that Lopez was able to get it done is really impressive to me. I highly regard Lopez as a top guy at featherweight, and I think that he's a future champion, and this could easily be Volk's second best win if Lopez continues to win in the future. But moving on, we're going to have Ilia Topuria as our lightweight champion. In his best win, I'm going with Max Holloway. And it's between Max Holloway, Volkanovski, and Charles Oliveira, right? But I think that if you look at the circumstances around each of these fights, it has to be Holloway. With Oliveira, he was coming off one win against Michael Chandler. Before that, he lost to Arman. And if we're being honest, Michael Chandler is really just not a good win. Like, Chandler was old and washed at that point. He wasn't even like the dog that he used to be at the beginning of his UFC career. Like, he was like really hesitant. He was trying to be like all technical and slick and box on the outside with Oliveira, and it didn't work well. Like, he got destroyed by Oliveira, and then he got destroyed by Paddy Pimblett. So yeah, the second Chandler win just wasn't really a good win, and then he went on to just get chinned by Topuria. And I think that it's probably Topuria's most impressive way of beating someone, but it's not his best win. And if you look at that Volk win, that was like 4 months after he got knocked out by Islam. And I know that Volkanovski had a full training camp and he was in good shape going into that fight. But getting knocked out by Islam just a few months before, that has to do something to your confidence. And Volk was kind of out of his prime after getting knocked out by Islam. I think that was a little bit past prime Volk at that point. And, being weight drained right after getting knocked out, it can't be great for you. I think that given the circumstances, obviously I think that Ilia Topuria would have knocked out Volk in at any time period. If Ilia Topuria fought Volkanovski in his prime, he probably still would have knocked him out. But I just don't think that's his best win given the circumstances. I think that his best win is Max Holloway, coming off a 3-fight win streak, beating Arnold Allen, great featherweight contender, knocking out TKZ, going up and destroying Justin Gaethje. That's his best win. I think that Max Holloway is for sure Topuria's best win. But let's move on to welterweight, where we have Islam as champion, and I think that it's Volk. His best win is going to be Volkanovski. And I'm talking about Volkanovski the first time, not the second time, where, we don't really count that. Like, at least personally, I don't count that as a legitimate win, just because Volkanovski, we know what happened to him. We know what his circumstances were coming into that fight. It was like 2 weeks' notice. He was visibly fat going into it, and he wasn't doing well mentally, as he revealed after the fight. He was like drinking a lot every day. He was coming off that arm surgery. He was nowhere near 100%, and there's no way he was beating Islam. I'm sorry, there's no way he was beating Islam on a full training camp in good shape in Abu Dhabi in 2 weeks. Like, that just was never going to happen. And Volk won. That was a different story. Volk won. Volk had a 6-month training camp, I believe, leading into that fight. He knew he was fighting Islam pretty much for like a good 3 or 4 months. And he was super ready. He was a true lightweight. He bulked up, packed on the right amount of muscle to be able to get to lightweight in a natural way. He was extremely ready. That was prime Volk. That was like when he was 33 or 34, in his peak years, coming off the best performance of his career, Max Holloway 3. And he was dangerous in that fight, man. We saw what happened. We saw him drop Islam, hurt him multiple times, hit him with good ground and pound shots, but it wasn't enough. Islam was just, he hung in there. He was really gritty, and he hurt Volk a good amount of times on the feet as well. We saw him control him a good couple times on the ground as well. And overall, it was a tit for tat, skill for skill battle. Extremely entertaining, but Islam was able to edge out the decision, and I agree with that decision. I think that it was 3-2 Islam, and both guys landed good shots, but the fact that Islam was able to win a decision, skill for skill over prime Volkanovski, that's one of the most impressive things a fighter can do. And that was Volkanovski with lighter man skill, by Lucas Tracy terms. It was lighter man skill, bro, and Volk had the speed, he had the strength, he had all the wrestling defense, and Islam was still able to edge out a victory, and that's extremely impressive. I think that Volkanovski is definitely Islam Makhachev's best win. You can argue it's prime Charles because Islam did end Charles's 11-fight win streak. But I think that beating prime Volk is better than beating prime Charles, and Volkanovski is just an all-time better fighter than Charles Oliveira. And with JDM, you could also argue it's JDM, but I think there's a really weak argument there, and I think that JDM hasn't really proven enough to really be able to like compete with these other two guys. I think that yes, he's got the size, he's got the power in the boxing, but I think he's never been that guy on the ground. He's just all around probably the worst fighter out of these three, Volk, Charles, and JDM. And maybe he'll go on to prove that he's really good and he is Islam's best win. But for now, he really hasn't proven much. His best win is Bilal, and we're just gonna have to go with Volk as Islam's best win. And yeah, that's totally fine. So let's move on to Hamzat Chimaev. At middleweight, Hamzat's your middleweight champion, and his best win I think is going to be Dricus du Plessis DDP. And you can argue it's Kamaru Usman. I wouldn't be mad if you went with Usman, second best welterweight of all time, totally fair. But I think that his best win is DDP, just because Usman, he was coming off those two losses to Leon Edwards, which, can we just talk about that? Leon Edwards is so ass, dude. Like, I don't know how he lost to Leon Edwards the second time, or the third time, I guess. But Jesus, that's just like, that's a bad look for Usman, bro. And then he went into this fight on short notice as well, put up a great performance, but you know, it's not the same. And I think that DDP had all the momentum in the world going into their fight. He had just beaten Whitaker, Adesanya, top 10 middleweights of all time. Adesanya arguably being the middleweight GOAT. And he had beaten Strickland as well, twice. He had beaten Strickland the first time to become champion and then silenced all the haters, all the doubters, destroying Strickland that second time, going in with a ton of confidence and momentum, thinking that he was going to, stuff all the takedowns and beat him up and weaponize cardio and pace. And that's high key what I thought was going to happen as well. I actually picked DDP going into that fight. But, Hamzat proved me wrong. He really destroyed DDP. It was one of the most impressive displays of grappling in MMA I've ever seen as, a UFC fan. And it was extremely impressive. I think that DDP is like one of the best middleweights of all time. I think he's a top 3, top 4 middleweight of all time in terms of greatness and accomplishments. And Hamzat being able to beat DDP in that fashion has to be his best win. But let's move on to Alex Pereira, our light heavyweight champion, back on top. And I'm actually going to say that his best win is Yuri Prochazka, the 2 times that he beat him. And I think that's a better win than Magomed Ankalaev. Stylistically, Ankalaev is a much harder matchup for Alex Pereira. But if you look at just who's the second best in the division, if you take out Alex Pereira, let's just say that Alex Pereira moved to heavyweight right now, who would be the best and who would be the champion? I think that would be Yuri Prochazka, guys. I think that in a fight, Yuri Prochazka would beat Ankalaev. He's too much of a dog. His striking is too unorthodox and powerful, and I think he's good enough on the ground to not get smudged or anything by Ankalaev. You can't hold down Yuri. You can't beat him by decision. He's going to find a way to knock you out. I think that's what he would do to Ankalaev, because Ankalaev can't just put out Yuri like Alex can. He doesn't have that type of power, and he doesn't have that type of diverse striking to be able to catch Ankalaev in that way. To be able to catch Yuri in that way. And Yuri has a great chin. So I believe Yuri knocks out Ankalaev if they ever fight. And if you look at their best wins in a bubble, Yuri and Ank both have Rakic on their resumes, but Yuri also has fighters like Hill, Roundtree, Glover, former champions and top contenders who fought for the belt. Versus Ankalaev, he has like Johnny Walker, Thiago Santos, Anthony Smith. These guys, they're going nowhere near the belt. They're really not impressive wins. They're like bottom top 10, bottom top 15 type of fighters. And they're just not that impressive. If you look at this in a vacuum, Yuri is clearly the better fighter, and I think that he's easily the second best light heavyweight fighter in the world. So I'm going to say that Alex Pereira's best win is Yuri Prochazka. And if we move on, finally, to our last champion on the list, we have Tom Aspinall. Oh, this is an ugly photo, bro. That's an ugly photo, bro. But his best win, I think, is Curtis Blades. And there's nothing really to talk about in this regard. If he beats Gon in their next fight, I think that his best win is going to be Gon, but I don't know. I think that currently it's Blades. Like I was going through Aspinall's resume, his wins in the UFC, and I'm not that impressed, if I'm being honest. Like I know he's beaten these guys in great, impressive fashion. He's knocking them out in like a minute. But if we look at the names, he has like Pavlovich, who's like, I don't know, he lost to Volkov. I feel like he's just a fridge, bro. He's built like a fridge and he just swings and like, yeah, he catches people, but like he's not that skillful in my opinion. You have Volkov, who I think just lost to Almeida. Like I know he won, but he won a robbery decision. He's clearly not that good on the ground, or maybe he is good, but he got smudged and he wasn't good enough to keep Gelton Almeida off of him. Gelton Almeida, let's not talk about that guy. But other than that, who else do we have? We have like an old Andrei Arlovsky who he subbed. We have I don't know. I don't even know who else we have. But out of all of these guys, I think Curtis Blades is the most well-rounded. He's pretty good on the ground. He's a good wrestler. He's got solid boxing and striking. He's just a little bit slow, but other than that, I think he's a pretty all right heavyweight. He's definitely in the top five. He's going to be in the top five for the next while because he's pretty young. And the fact that Tom Aspinall was able to chin him in a couple minutes was that was impressive. And yeah, so I think that Blades is definitely Tom Aspinall's best win. Let me know what you guys think below. Thanks for watching and have a Merry Christmas, guys. I'm going to be uploading soon as well, so keep your eyes peeled for tomorrow and the day after. But yeah, enjoy the holidays and have a good one.